Hello, thanks for tuning in today. I am Yvonne Guibert with Take Courage Coaching, and we're here today with Becky Curtis, founder and CEO of Take Courage Coaching. Hi, Becky.
Hi, Yvonne. It's nice to talk with you.
It's great to talk with you and see your smile. You always have such a great radiating smile.
Thank you.
And we were talking earlier about how nice and warm it is. I'm in Tampa, so we get warm weather a lot of the year, but you're in Utah. So what's it like in Utah today?
It's a beautiful day. I don't think it's 70 degrees like where you are, but it feels so nice to have good weather coming spring.
Yes, spring is coming. It's so exciting. It's always a great time of year.
It is.
So today we are going to talk about power napping. And the reason we're talking about power napping, just a little insight as to how we decided to talk about this. I happen to know from talking to Becky over a couple years and just sort of drilling down into her unique experience with pain that she doesn't drink any caffeine at all, not even tea. So I asked her, what do you do when you need a little jolt of energy? Because most of us, especially in the United States, we go for that cup of coffee or soda or something that's probably not too great for us, but that's what we typically do. And Becky's response was, oh, I just go take a power nap for about 10 minutes. So tell us how that works, Becky. Tell us a little bit about your power nap.
So I came up with this. One of the most important parts of managing chronic pain without medication is something called time-based pacing. And a lot of us that have chronic pain, we are in either one of two camps. The one camp is that we lay in a recliner all the time, and I've been there. Or the other camp is that we go and go and go until we are past the point of pain. And then what ends up happening is, maybe we're in bed for 3 days because we can't move. And so time-based pacing is this thing where we pay attention to our body and we pay attention to how we're feeling. We're not focused on the pain because that's not something we want to do, but we're focused on our energy levels and how we're feeling. And when our bodies start saying that we're tired, we go and we take a little break. And for some people, that's sitting up. For me, that's laying down because of the spasticity I have on the right side. My ribs get really painful. And so I lay down and I do some breathing. And sometimes I fall asleep. In fact, most of the time I fall asleep and I wake up at about 10 minutes, 15 minutes later. And when I do that, I feel just recharged and ready to do the rest of my day. And usually that's about 2 or 3, 4 o'clock. If I go into a long, deep sleep, which once in a great while I will, then I have a hard time sleeping at night. But if I just take that little short nap and I don't set an alarm, I don't know, my body just goes to sleep and then wakes up and I feel great.
That's amazing. So it sounds to me like you have just about mastered the art of listening to what your body needs and paying attention to it, when it needs it. So that's something that we talk about when we talk about mindfulness and slowing down, is having the ability, because most of us move around so fast and so quickly that we don't get, or we don't notice maybe those cues that our body is giving us. And so when we're reaching for that coffee or reaching for that whatever sugary thing that we do, we probably ought to stop and ask ourselves what's going on here. Sounds like you're just about mastered that. And so I think that's really insightful that you found a way to listen to what your body's telling you, and then you obey it, so to speak, of giving it a little bit of a rest, and that's just what you need to get up and then keep on going.
Most days. There are some days where I push myself too far, and then I have a hard time with the pain. I have a harder time relaxing that evening and sleeping, and then the next day is more difficult. So when I listen, it works well.
Well, and that's why I say I think that's an important takeaway for everybody, because whether you're dealing with chronic pain or an acute situation, when you push yourself too far, then it takes a longer time to recover, right?
Yes, it does.
So we would all do well to listen and pay attention to the cues that we're getting and possibly take a power nap. See, I try to incorporate power naps, but when I fall asleep, I tend to sleep for a little bit longer. So I have to set an alarm, and it usually ends up with me sleeping longer than I should. And like you said, it interrupts my sleep at night. So maybe I need to just practice some more.
Well, and two, if you are having problems sleeping at night, napping during the day isn't always a good idea as you're trying to get your circadian rhythm in order. This does work for me. I am able to sleep at night, but just paying attention, each person is different. And this is what works for me, and being curious and figuring out, listening to your body, figuring out what works for you is always the best approach.
Certainly. And I would also add to that I think part of it is, in our busy, hectic lives, equation is just allowing ourselves, giving ourselves the permission to slow down and figure out what works for us. I think that's a big piece of what's missing for a lot of people is we just don't allow ourselves the opportunity to slow down and tune into what's happening. So
and this can sometimes be, you have to put aside your pride. At least that's how I feel sometimes. I will even be at a friend's house for the day. Maybe we're gathered with a big group of people and I start feeling it coming on. I'm starting to get a pain flare. My ribs are hurting. My back kind of needs a break. I need a little bit of a break. And so being that weird person that says, is there a place that I can lay down for 5 minutes or 10 minutes? And being okay with that, going outside the norm. And I've had to do that many different places. There's a quiet room in our church where I've laid down many times and taken just a few minute break, and nobody cares. It's okay.
Right. And a lot of companies are starting to implement rooms that have comfy chairs and lounges where they can maybe lie down and take a nap. I think it's a great thing that we're starting to open up and embrace those kinds of thinking.
Yeah, there are whole cultures where they have a siesta every afternoon. And I think it's a great idea. We work hard, but then we take a little break in the middle of the day and we replenish our body with food, and we just refresh ourselves with a few minutes of a nap, and then we're able to do the rest of the day. And I think it's a good balance, and it's a good rhythm to get into.
Awesome. This is very interesting. So thanks for sharing. And I look forward to chatting you again soon about some other tips and tricks you have for managing pain.
Thank you, Yvonne.
And if you are interested in more from Becky and more stories about how some of our clients have learned to manage their pain experience, please visit our website, takecouragecoaching.com, and hop on over to our blog and check out some of our stories, and don't forget to subscribe.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.